Welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
We are pre-recording this, so we'll be in the chat tonight, but we won't be interacting with chat, or at least I will be in chat tonight. We're going to talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 122, Nothing Ventured, Nothing Gained.
Yep.
Tense episode, and a taste of things to come.
Good episode. I really enjoyed it. There was several times I was like, wait, what? And not just from reveals, but from and things we'll get into. Just like, do they realize? A lot of things.
Yeah. After the recap, it's come join us by the fire.
Yes, the fireside chat.
They have apparently forgotten that they spent a bunch of money on Zindian souvenir steins.
Yeah.
Because they're like, do we have cups? Well, it's got to be like Red Fair. We've all got them hanging out on our belts, right? Don't we?
Yep.
Well, I mean, if it's not on your equipment list, no. But you also bought all those steins, so also yes.
So it should be on your equipment list. You know, Ford opens up about Uk'otoa.
Yeah.
And the first, wait, what moment for me was Veth taking that as an invitation to start spilling everybody else's tea.
Yeah. They were joking about Veth just joining the Tomb Takers last episode.
And here she's giving them all their info.
Yeah, which is foreshadowing for what she says later after Caduceus' story about the squirrel in the grove. I want the Nonagon to be my rabies.
Yep.
Which kind of makes me wonder, how much can they trust her?
You know.
I did love Caduceus. Well, I'm mostly fine.
Yes. Yeah, I'm mostly fine. We're good.
I'm just here to help my friends.
I love, like, Liam and Matt had almost the same reaction. They were just kind of like, what? You sure, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah. We got some of Molly's, Lucian's view of the Somnovum.
Yeah.
He thinks that they are mad.
We're all mad here.
Yeah. And he kept asking them about their goals and imagine, like, where does their imagination take them? And we got domesticating unicorns from Jessica.
Yeah, that went dark quick for her.
Yeah.
And she defends it, and nobody says anything. But I know at least Taliesin and probably Liam are thinking, those are sentient beings. You want to enslave a race of sentient beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Jester's goal in life. Well, one of them.
Yeah. I was like, oh, your tiefling is showing. I mean, she might as well be dancing.
Yeah. I was just like,
with darkness.
Because I was like, wow. You know, that was another of the moments. I was just like, wait, what? And this week I actually got to watch it live, so I wasn't able to rewind real quick and make sure I heard what I heard like I normally do, since I normally close on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to watch it right again, because I was like, I can't believe this. And just, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if that will come up again. And if the free will discussion...
Well, I really want them to meet a unicorn.
I mean, that's one way it could.
So they realize, oh, this is a sentient thing. Hey, you still want to...
Yeah. We get Lucian calling Yasha Angel Blood.
Yeah.
And Jester's like, well, that's a good nickname. And telling Bo, you should call her that.
Yeah.
Okay, the bad guy called her that. I can't do that. And I have to say, I felt personally attacked when he's like, goals take imagination. It's like, ugh, do they? Oh, okay. We got more evidence that whenever Caleb gives Frumpkin to somebody, he's witnessing whatever is going on.
Most assuredly, yeah.
We talked about it last time.
Yep.
This was essentially the proof in the pudding to me.
Yeah.
And I loved after that, they go back to the hut. The gist of Bo's side of that conversation was, yeah, but do we have goals? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Which, for the first time, I became worried that we're not going to get the Tarrasque.
I don't think the Tarrasque has ever been on their radar.
Well, the reason I say that is because that was the first time where the game might end.
Yeah.
Before
we get
final tier.
Okay.
Where the Tarrasque becomes a viable challenge.
Right.
Because it's like, if they don't have a goal, if they don't have a reason to adventure, why are they going to continue? For the first time I was like, ugh.
I mean, they have plenty of shit to do. They just have to decide on it.
Yeah.
They're still taking out the Cerberus Assembly. There's
Uk'otoa still left to deal with.
Uk'otoa. There's Yasha's missing years.
I mean, yeah, there is that, but I don't think that's a real thing.
I don't think it's a huge thing either. You know.
Because I think she left that behind when she let go and got her wings.
Okay.
So personally, that's how I view it. That missing time is not important anymore.
I tend to agree with you, but the way she talked about it in this last episode, about having those missing years, I think there's a bit of curiosity as to what there was.
Yeah. But I guess it changes the motivation.
I mean, Uk'otoa could lead into Deseret, which is under Bo's hometown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's things for them left to do, but none of it is major shit.
Yeah. They had a discussion of the timeline of soul parts, as I termed it in my notes, where, for whatever reason, they are confused about what happened. I thought it's been fairly clear.
Yeah.
About Lucian finding the tome, becoming the Nonagon.
Right.
Getting broken, becoming Molly, dying, and then coming back. Like, I don't know. It was, some of this episode was kind of like, we already know this.
I think it was the players talking it through, kind of thing.
Which they haven't done.
Yeah.
That's true. So they had the conversation via sending with the Cobalt Reserve.
Yep.
And the information they got back was, oh yeah, well, we already know that. And they were disappointed in that. And Matt was like, you guys had parallel research going on. And really, what that's a great illustration of is having more than one way to get out exposition to your players.
But what really interests me is we need, we've got some stuff. We need to talk. This isn't the way. And what is that information?
Well, I think it's they found out who and what the Cognosa were. Because that's what Udala said. Now, did this operative's investigation reveal more than what they already know? I doubt it.
There's a small piece of me, and it's
like the Mighty Nine have names.
It's completely it seems completely unrelated to the current arc. However, because Bo, as an expositor / representative of the Mighty Nine, talked to the guy and started to look into it, I'm wondering if it's going to be a callback to the moons and that whole issue.
I don't think so. Except for their
and in that, I'm just wondering if, in part of bringing it back, does there need to be a conjunction of some kind?
I'm going to say no to that.
Okay.
Because during their discussions with Lucian and the commune with the Wilde Mother, it was clearly expressed that timing was not an issue.
Yeah. That's true.
Usually if there's a celestial thing going on,
timing is an issue, yeah. That's true. I don't know, it's probably just a side quest that they opted not to pick up, but there's just something about those moons that I'm still like, what's going on there? That's a whole thing that needs to be explored.
Well, so if they do that, that could be how the Tarrasque comes in. Like, that could be...
Yeah, and we talked about that initially when the moons came up, is maybe that where the Tarrasque is. And, I don't know. Just something inside me has never let the whole rudeness name drop, exposition drops go. There's, something there in his overall arc.
Yeah. Agreed. Although, it could also equally be the kind of thing like I did. My players are going into a Cloud Giant's castle that was captured. And I drew an elevation of the castle. And in that elevation of the castle, above two buildings are these large kite-shaped structures.
Okay.
They are never going, even if I describe them, they will probably never know or care to ask what it is. But I know they are water catchment structures to catch droplets of water and bring them into the castle. His rudest thing that he was laying out could be nothing more than that. It's just something he put in.
Sometimes the moon is just a moon.
Yes.
That's no moon. Well, sometimes it is.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Fair enough.
I say that wholeheartedly agreeing with you.
Yeah.
That there's something going on.
No, I get that. If I was one of your players in that game, I would be... If you describe that, I'd be like, let's go. We're going to check that out. But I'm not, so...
Yeah. I loved when Caduceus is telling the squirrel story.
Yeah.
And, he's like, outside we have this squirrel, and Jess just like, I love this story.
Yeah, and we talked earlier, and it was kind of one of it felt like, and I forget, it goes by several different names depending on where you grow up, but where someone tells a story and someone else interjects a line, and you have to build with that line becoming part of the canon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened with the rabies comment.
Well, and I took it as Caduceus never ascribes a detail or a conclusion in his stories. When he is not interrupted or whatever, when he's just telling, he never gives it a reason. He just, here's what happened.
Right.
And when he started telling that story, I don't think he was not going to ascribe it anything.
I 100% agree.
And when they were like, was it rabies? He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, in his head, he's like, yeah, we'll call it that. Sure, whatever.
And see, I took it as like, yeah, okay, now we got to go with rabies. So, yeah. You know? But yeah. I agree with you that there was no predetermined cause for the madness. Just that sometimes things go mad.
Yeah. I like, in that moment, I was like, he's very Bob Rossy right now. Because Bob Ross adopted squirrels and rescued them. And for a couple seasons, he would bring them in while he's doing the painting show. Or they would shoot B-roll, and while he's painting, he would show the B-roll and talk about them. So, between Caduceus and Jester, they have a whole Bob Ross. Because Jester paints. Yeah. There was also a discussion of the anti-magic capabilities of Leomed's tiny hut. Like, how safe are they, really? Because Nott didn't think that she could send a message from inside the hut.
Right.
And there was some scrambling on the sidelines to sort of try to glance and figure it out. And Matt just basically said, there's some protective things in the dome.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And Liam said, you know, rules as written, it has a bottom, but ours doesn't have a bottom. As sort of a get out of jail for Matt to rule however he wanted and to say whatever he wanted. And rules as written, you can cast through. Mm-hmm. There's nothing preventing spells passing through the dome. It's just people and objects cannot. So arrows won't penetrate it.
Right.
They can't invade the space. Also, I mean, if this has opened the door, so why not talk about it? Rules as written, everyone who's going to sleep in the dome must be in the dome when it is cast.
Okay.
Because rules as written, the language that says that people can pass in and out, other than the caster, they have to be in the dome when it's cast for that to be able to work. Mm. So that is another way that the narrative of the show
has allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a fair trade-off. They don't have to be in there when it's cast, but they don't have a bottom.
Yeah. I mean,
to me, in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, because it gives them a way around it, a freedom of movement.
Gives them a bit of freedom of movement, but it gives the DM a bit of freedom of movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tit for tat. Let's talk about the armor for a second. And hang on a minute. I want to look up on crit roll stats real quick.
Well, real quick, because I want to talk about Liam, Caleb, talking about, you know, Molly was a flim-flam artist. And Taliesin just goes,
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I don't think that's ever been in question.
Yeah, no. And we also get a brilliant example of how your primary source, you on the ground doing your research, is more valuable than secondary research.
Mm-hmm.
Because the 9 already knew, they figured out who the Cognosa were, or what that was regarding, before they got this message from Udalathon.
Right.
And arguably, they know more. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, how did Bo, or any other expositor for that matter, get messages about their research back to the Cobalt Soul? Because it seems like they are quite hands-off with their operatives. Like, there's not a daily check-in. There's not a,
Right.
So part of me wonders, like, is it just like whenever they get to a temple, they are debriefed, and that's the extent of it?
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me wonder how many Cobalt Soul journals are lost. How many, like for me, that became sort of an adventure hook.
Yeah, it's definitely an adventure hook. Or a way to drop exposition in.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it kind of makes me sorry for whoever reads Beauregard's journal now, because she's got the Necronomicon section in it now.
I'm not sorry for them.
Well, you wouldn't be.
100% good.
But at the end of as they're about to finish their long rest, Liam asks, okay, bookkeeping question. Don't we have a suit of armor that I need to identify?
Yep.
And they go through, there's some digging in notes, and he casts a spell. Matt tells him it is a +2 armor, studded leather.
Yep. And this is where I get confused, because Ford says his AC is 17. The armor, the +2 leather armor, would lessen that AC. Because even if you take away the shield and make it a 15, and that's what I was looking on crit roll stats, it just says Mariner's armor. It doesn't say any other enchantments or what type of armor it's on. Because he starts out at 14 and then jumps to 17. I'm assuming when that, enchantment was transferred. But studded leather is 12, +2 makes 14. Even if you take away the shield from 17, that's a 15. He has no dex bonus to AC.
Yeah.
So the armor is arguably going to give him a worse AC than what he has currently.
And I think...
However...
Okay.
He said it requires attunement.
That was going to be my line of comment on the discussion.
There is a set of studded leather armor in the Wild Mount Explorer's Guide that can vary in range from +1 to +3, which does require attunement. It is a vestige. It is the hide of the Feral Guardian. Studded leather goes from +1 to +3, grants attunement, and allows him to polymorph while retaining his intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores once a day into either a snowy owl, a black bear, or a guardian wolf. So unless they're stacking forward with the vestiges unknowingly, I don't know what this armor is.
I think that comment that it requires attunement was an error.
Okay.
A lot of armors in the DMG do require attunement.
Mm-hmm.
And the system predisposes that because AC is so powerful. But the simple +1, +2, +3 bonus armors do not require attunement.
Okay, then my argument is, why is he switching out to a worse set of armor that is not thematically more appropriate to his character?
Because he doesn't understand, like, it's a +2 armor, so he thinks it's better.
Except he's punching it into D&D
He
Beyond.
couldn't find it.
And then Matt told him and he typed it in. I'm pretty sure, and then he attuned to it after
No, I
that.
think he was putting in a custom magic item.
Well, that links credence to...
Well, no, I think he couldn't find it. He didn't know to punch in +2 armor.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure would bring up another list. What kind of armor is it? I think he couldn't find it because he asked Laura, what is this? So you can add a custom magic item. And I think he was doing that.
Well, even if he does that, if he just makes studded leather +2, it's going to do the calculation and show him having a worse AC.
Yeah. And that may be off the bat beginning of this Thursday's episode.
So.
But yes, I think...
Because I could see him going for a 1 worse AC if he didn't have Mariner's armor and was getting Mariner's armor, because that's thematic for the character.
No.
But to give up something thematic for the character for something that's mechanically worse...
Well, even if it's not mechanically worse, even if it's a wash,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because he started with the Mariner's armor, he got the new armor and had the enchantment transferred.
Because he didn't want to give up that armor.
Right. And now he's giving it up. I think that's a huge character growth to that point.
Okay.
Because this is the first time he's been willing to give up the Mariner's armor.
Right.
And it's also evidence that he may now be looking to never go on the sea again.
It's true. Except that totally is anti-thematic for his custom oath.
Oathbreaker paladins are a thing.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I think if it comes up, the dust settles, I think Nott ends up with it. Because it doesn't take an attunement slot, so she doesn't have to give up her cloak or the dagger. So I think she gets it back. Which would make her AC 19.
Yeah.
So, also, well, I'll talk about it in a minute. But yes, in the morning, Lucian brings over the book.
Well, even before dinner, we get the tour.
Well, in the morning, Lucian brings them the book.
Okay.
They read the book.
Yeah.
And he, and Jester comes over and says, guys, don't read that book. It's dangerous. And I'm like, you couldn't have said that 10 minutes ago.
Well, closer to 30.
But, yeah.
Well,
yeah, it was just hilarious.
Quote you quoting the Mummy, what harm can come from reading a book?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah, it's... I mean, every Cthulhu adventure has that in the midpoint, or that's the climax.
And sometimes all of the above.
Yes, yes. Yes.
We read from this book, that kicked it off. Oh, that made it worse. Oh, let's read from this book, that'll fix it. I'm always a fan of reading the book.
Yeah, yeah.
drinking the unknown serum, whatever it is.
Can't be all bad. But we have
risk.
We have the worst check ever in the history of the show. 99 rolled 2 natural ones. We don't know what the Tomb Takers rolled.
Right.
But after they said that, and you got a 12, and that's like, I don't know, it doesn't even matter. So they are lost again, and facing a level of exhaustion.
Yep.
And Knot brings up the point
leaves.
She's got these leaves. I don't think it was a good idea to give Knot the leaves. Because she has reliable talent.
Yeah.
So if it's a skill check that she is proficient in,
from a
her floor is
standpoint.
10. For the die roll, anyway. So, like, I probably would have given it to Bo and Caleb.
Yeah.
Just because they're the two big brains. They're the two with Arcana trained.
They're the 20 and 19 intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the other side of that coin is...
And they're two of the most perceptive.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be... We'll see. I don't know. I mean, it pushes the max for Veth up. Because she can now... If she rolls over a 10, that is good, but... Yeah. I was just like, I wouldn't have given it to Knot. But
I mean, they were her leaves.
It's fair. We also get Veth manipulating Caleb into showing them the top of the tower.
Yep.
So bless Sam for that. I feel kind of... I don't know. On one hand, you want people to come back, so don't give them everything. But I do kind of wish we knew what was in 2, 3.
Well, I think we can make some
6 and 7.
speculations.
Because room 5 is his torture chamber.
5 is the torture chamber. 4 is Astrid's dorm. So these... 1 is childhood home. 9 is the Nestle Nook Inn where he met everybody. So these appear to be in chronological order.
Yes.
So I think it's assumed to say around 6 or 7 is the sanatorium where the lady came in and healed his mind.
That might be 8.
No, because I think 8 is the
Knot.
prison cell where he met Knot.
So you think Knot's right? Or Veth is right? That's the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we can, fill in those rooms,
And see, I think 6 is the burned remains of that house.
I think that's possible. The burned remains. Well, if 6 is the burned remains, 7 is the asylum, 8 is the cell, 9 is the Nestle Nook Inn.
Yeah.
That's the top half of the spectrum there.
And I think...
Yeah, 2 and 3 are my questions.
I think 3 is probably going to be a classroom.
Okay.
Or a lab.
At
the Solstice Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is probably an inn or an ale house or something in Rexington when Caleb first went to the city.
Okay.
Which we got a preview of when he was taking them on the tour.
Yeah. Before
the dinner with Trent.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I think Liam says I will take them to an ale house that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, he does.
So that ale house may also be
in that lineup. Yeah. It could be the one where he danced with Astrid eventually, you know.
Yes. Which is why he did not dance with Jester there.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Bo straight up admits to him that she was thinking about doing a B&E if he didn't show him. And his response was, I'd like to see you try. Or I'd like to see that. Or something to that effect. It's like, oh, now I want to as well. Shit.
Which, what that tells me is he's probably discussed with Matt in private parts of the floor plan because he's got alarms. So he knows when people go into off-limit areas.
Yeah.
Built into the thing. Which we discussed that he might, and we'll say if he sets it up. But this way, it's set up, Matt knows, so it's not like I'm just pulling this in. But there's no reason for the other characters to know. And knowing the other characters, there's certain ones, Beth, Bo, that are going to want to try and do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it will be interesting. So I was on Caleb's side when they were in his childhood home, and he was sort of getting it from all sides almost.
Yeah.
And Jester's like, I think you keep these up here as a punishment. And Caduce is like, you're using this the wrong way. And Ford, is there any worse phrase that you could say to Caleb than, you know, they say you can never go home, but you found an ingenious way to do that.
Yeah.
I was just like,
nice wound you got there, buddy. Be ashamed if anyone poured some salt into it.
Yes. Like, God, man. Ugh. But I did kind of tear up when Caduceus leaves the tea.
Yeah.
Because, like, to me, that was Caduceus's way of having sort of a funeral. Of knowing the gravity of it. Even though he's trying to transmute it into a positive thing. But
it's a method of closure
for
the grieving family members.
Yeah.
You know. It's him being the mortician and comforting the family members.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. I grew up in mortuaries, you know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing there. We have a moment in that evening where they're talking and they get all the cats to go vocal.
Well, do we want to skip over the dodecahedron?
Okay, no, you're right.
Because
floor 9.
I kind of wish Liam had talked a little bit more about the mechanism and what each person sees.
Yeah.
Because my headcanon is Jester sees herself with Ford and Caleb. That's my headcanon of what she sees when she looks out into the possibility fractals. So I kind of wish he had gone a little more into what exactly they see and how it is determined. Because I think part of what Bo and Yasha see is them together, but also not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those things. Is it hugely important? No.
Right.
But it would have been nice. Also, it's also kind of nice that he didn't, because it leaves it open for somebody later to ask what did you see?
Yeah.
And for that player to extrapolate, or to ask, how did that work at that point, and then extrapolate what they saw. Will we get that?
I don't know.
But we have the dinner.
Yes, we have the dinner, the tour of their room.
Yeah.
The repurposed guest room.
I think Caleb is really trying to mess with Lucian.
Oh, yeah.
And he, more than anyone, has succeeded at that. Bo has just pissed him off, I think.
And
well, no.
Good Bo.
Okay, Jester has probably affected him more. But Caleb is a close second.
Okay.
With Molly Mock's coat.
Yeah.
And the city. And
yeah.
Yeah. So, and I loved Marisha. You asked us for a story the other night, and we were just too tired. But I slept on it, and I have one for you. The gist of which was...
a thinly veiled threat.
We crush cults. And we're not done yet.
See that red hat. But yeah, they just... who knows if we'll crush more?
Yeah. So good. Now, do you think the scry happened because of the cats? Because you were mentioning the cats coming in and singing. Or do you think that was going to happen regardless?
I think it was going to happen regardless.
Okay. I think it happened because of the cats. Because they were trying to do something to cover their discussion. And it was loud.
Yeah.
And so he's like, what are they doing?
I mean, he was going to end up scrying on them either way. That just alerted him to the timing. I need to do it now. He was probably going to be doing it relatively soon anyway.
It's fair. A tip for them in the future, if they wish to have clandestine communication in the tower while they have visitors who don't want them, pass notes.
Yeah.
Bling. Call a cat. Take this to Caleb's room.
Yeah.
No. Oh.
I love that. Nope, there's locks on all those doors. I'm not Scanlan Shorthalt.
Yeah. So good. We get a... Jester is preparing to cast her sending spell. And they have a bit of a Spice Girl sing along, which made me wonder which Spice Girl is Jester.
Baby.
Veth?
Veth is Ginger, the one who causes the drama.
Bo?
Sporty.
Okay, Yasha?
Scary.
Yeah.
And if Astrid was there, she would be posh.
See, I was debating whether Jester was posh or not.
No.
But
she's baby.
Alright.
She puts off that innocent vibe, but isn't innocent. Yeah, it was relatively simple. I saw that in your notes and I just jotted down. It's like, yep, this one.
Yeah. But we get the vision.
Yeah.
The reward.
Yes.
For their curiosity. And I think Matt started that off with making Ford make a perception check so that he would be able to narrate that Ford notices something happening between the two of them. But Ford biffed the roll.
Right.
So he just goes straight into the vision. And then Ford is made aware when they both sit up. And then Bo grabs her notebook and starts trying to record the dream. Caleb sits with it, sort of rubs his face a little bit. Matt makes a perception check, and he sees, because of course Bo would be holding it like this. So he sees the eye on the left hand. And then he's like, stop. And then he shows her. They look on him, nothing immediately visible. And then he's like, he checks her neck, she checks his neck. Which would make an interesting image for any of the others waking up at that moment.
Yeah, like they said.
Why are they necking? I didn't think both swung that way.
Like I said, they're gonna wake up. Caleb's gonna be buttoning, Bo's gonna be just examining him. Didn't quite get that far.
No, because it is in fact on his right arm, just below where the deltoid and bicep meet.
Yep.
Matt did not detail any particular powers. Do you think they have any? Or do you think that doesn't come until you get on 9?
No, I think it's a slow progression, but I'm not sure what they're going to be. And they're not going to be, I think it's going to be like a low-level thing, and the more eyes you get, the stronger each one becomes.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Because Molly never had anything. But Molly didn't understand what they were. So maybe they will.
Yeah.
And Matt ended the episode right after that.
Yep.
And Travis was losing his shit. And he's like, you took the wizard and the monk and turned them against us. And they spoiled it on the release for this week's schedule that Thursday's episode is going to be a long one.
Mm.
Now, I don't know if it's that much of a spoiler because we could have predicted it was going to be a long one.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the episode where they fight the Tomb Takers before the ritual. They help the Tomb Takers get to and perform the ritual, and then fight them. That would be very bad.
Yeah.
The killing needs to happen before. Also, while we're talking about this, props to Travis Ford playing up the Paladin. I just want to say I vote to slaughter them now, since we're taking a vote.
Yeah. Well,
kill them all. Let God sort them out.
He's playing for. I mean, nothing says lawful good like, we invited these people into our home, let's kill them in their sleep. Just saying, Travis. I love you, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, my guess is the pacing of the next episode is going to be overland travel. Hopefully, they don't roll another thing where they get lost again. Maybe there's an encounter.
Do they hide the eyes from Lucien, and does he already know? Or will he be able to tell something's different about them?
I think they try to hide the eyes. Well, Caleb is easy.
Caleb is easy.
It's a matter of Bo.
Well, here's the thing. Do her lightning gloves cover the eye?
Presumably, they would. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's a good question, and I think Lucian knew when he gave them the book what was going to happen.
Yeah. And I think he knew when he took it away.
Yeah.
It's long enough for them to get something, but not everything.
Yeah. Now, there's an interesting question, and I know Caleb wants to, but if they look at it again, will they glean more from the book? Or is this now simply a journey of the inner mind?
Yeah.
At this point. So.
Yeah, does the book just start you down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Or is it the rabbit hole?
One thing that I was kind of, I don't know, confused isn't the right word. I don't know if it matters too much. But when Matt describes the eyes, the red eye that they see, and the eyes on the body, in all of the art for Molly, it seemed like it was, the almond shape, lidded, a lidded eye, and not just like a round eye. But I don't know. It's probably lidded because Matt describes it as closing.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I never mind. Answer my own question.
Yeah.
I think we may have a random encounter. We may not. They get to Aor. They go in, and they are going to be fighting the Aor Guardians.
Yeah, the Aorian hunters.
Yeah.
Especially now that they've got the Tomb Takers with them.
Yeah.
They can
There's no
throw
reason.
a few of them at them.
Yeah. One to two of each.
Yeah.
Is my guess. Which will also be nice for the Mighty Nine to get a better idea of what Lucian can do.
Yep.
It would be helpful to learn if his anti-magic is targeted or if it's an area.
Yeah.
Because thus far, because he canceled it on all of them, on the polymorph, it could very easily be an area.
Yeah, like a cone.
Yeah. So fighting will help with that, I think. And also to gauge what he can do.
Yeah.
My guess is any encounters that they have, they're going to be holding back. They're going to be using the low-level stuff.
Yep.
Because they want to try to use the high-level stuff against Lucian. And the Tomb Takers. And it will be interesting if they turn on them in the first fight. Or if they wait until after that fight and they do their best to sort of preserve their resources as much as possible. And really, that would be the best thing for them to do, is to fight those things without using magic.
Yeah.
And just essentially just buff Bo and Yasha, and to a certain extent Ford and Veth, and just have them beat away. I hope we get to see Jester with her axe. So we'll see. But I think it's going to be a big battle. My guess is the random encounter and the first encounter in Aor break. After break is the confrontation with Lucian and the Tomb Takers.
I can see that.
And that probably is going to be 3 hours. They're not starting the rebroadcast until 1 a.m. Pacific, which is an hour later. So it's not going to be a 5-hour episode, but it could be 4 and a half.
4 to 4.5.
Yeah. And I wonder, I was thinking about this today. They have some play in the break that they can cut time out. Because all they have to do basically is not show one of the vignettes. And that would, if they're concerned about the overall runtime of the episode. Because before, when they're live, the length of the break is determined by how long it takes for them to all use the restroom.
Or even if they just cycle through the artwork one time instead of 1.5 to 2 times.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you think Essek is brought in? Because that was a debate that they had. And I think involving Essek in this is a bad idea.
I don't think he does. For this, well, so first off, he's like, yeah, come here. Like, so he's saying, I can't really leave. 2, they're coming in from the northwest. He's stationed on the southeast. Which means he's going to have to expend his whole party's resources getting to them. Or a good chunk of them.
Well, and Travis made the observation that it could be a 6 to 8 hour journey. That's a whole day's worth of travel.
Yeah.
And presumably, the Dynasty camp is in where it is because the Empire camp is where it is, which I'm pretty sure is on the west side.
Yeah. So what I think happens is at the end, either they go to Essek to lick their wounds, or they go to Essek to recuperate after their victory, depending on how things go down.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Do you think they want to try to get rid of the marks? And if they do they bring Essek into that?
I think Bo wants to. I don't think Caleb wants to. Whether or not they try to, maybe. I mean, that could be a whole adventure hook in itself, is the quest to rid themselves of the Somnovum.
Yeah.
But power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. He is a character that is to some degree or another, admittedly by Liam, based off of Raceland Mayergy. He is going to be tempted. He is going to want to keep, especially if he does have a power from it.
Well, so Veth dangled the possibility that maybe the Somnovum can help with Caduceus' problem. And Veth straight up asked, do you still want to go back and undo it?
Yeah.
Very quick, very quiet. No one else in the room jumped on it. And Caleb's like, yeah, very quietly, and then quickly moved on.
Yeah.
As Caleb does. Could the Somnovum, well, could they? They could. They will dangle the possibility in front of him.
They'll dangle it. I don't think they need to dangle it to get him to be tempted by the power. Like I said, especially if he's got some power from that one eye, he's going to be. He's not going to want to get rid of it.
I mean to bring them back.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, yeah. They're gonna want.
Because, he'll do things just like Ford did to get this power from, like he did for Ukotoa. Caleb, I could see definitely going down the same similar kind of.
Yeah.
We'll play footsie while I get power, and I don't have to give you what you want ultimately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That.
And then when it comes down to it, they can say, "Well, we know how to do time travel."
Yeah. Well, I mean, as hard as I am at Ford, I've never, not admitted that Caleb is evil. The only reason I'm not as hard on Caleb about it is he admits to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He calls a spade a spade.
Fair. We're out of time.
Yep.
and I don't want to accidentally run too long. So we
Yeah.
will see you guys next week. Is it Tuesday?